Marina, welcome.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Marina a little bit better. Marina is the president and CEO, Sustainable Development for IKEA Retail in Poland. She has been part of the IKEA Poland team since March 2021. First as market area manager, and since 1st February last year as CEO and Chief Sustainable Officer. If I understand correctly, you have been part of IKEA for almost 20 years. First as HR manager for Russia, where you have different tasks. You moved to Sweden to take role as assistant to global retail manager, and then continue as a market manager in Barcelona in Spain. So you know everything about IKEA and what IKEA does.
Well, not everything, but I think quite some things.
And,
Thank you, Artur.
I will just introduce very shortly who I am. I am the chairman, just like Agnieszka mentioned, I'm the chairman of the Scandinavian Polish Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a lawyer, but nobody's perfect. I'm a founding lawyer of a boutique law firm called Legalcraft, where we basically focus on M&A and real estate transactions. I'm a Swedish advocate, but also admitted to the Chambers of Legal Advisors as foreign lawyer in Poland. So Marina, let's start with the first question concerning IKEA's strategy towards green transition. Because as you all know, companies play a critical role in greening the economy. Corporate practices and decisions must be aligned with broader social and environmental needs and priorities to achieve the transition. A few years ago, the core question was how to achieve business value from environmental management. These days, I think the answer to this question is quite obvious. But if you could tell us, what does it mean for IKEA today, greening the business, and how does it work in practical terms?
Yes, I think, as you say, Artur, we have all moved from asking ourselves, can we grow and be sustainable at the same time, to actually a statement that there is no way that we can do business without having a sustainable business. So basically, and you can see in my title, I think there was a move some years ago where we have said you cannot be just responsible for the company, you at the same time must be responsible for its sustainable development. And IKEA has launched its first, you can say, sustainability or people and planet positive strategy more than 10 years ago. It was 2012. And you can say the greener part of that concentrated about circularity, a lot of points that have been mentioned in the previous discussion. And if I paint a large picture, then there are three big blocks: energy efficiency, energy resilience, energy independence, electromobility, and of course sustainable products and circularity as such. And I think the big challenge in these years was actually to answer a question: what is possible? And in the last annual summary, we have seen that it is actually possible to grow the business, meaning have a revenue growth, and decrease your carbon footprint. We have seen for IKEA globally a decrease from 2016 on 13.6%, and compared to last year 0.6%. So, you know, we can, if I would draw a graph, this started to go like that. So you can do that, and that gives a lot of hope. Though, of course, sometimes it is also intimidating to see what is still ahead of us. And I think as IKEA, we are very humble at this, let's say, challenge, but at the same time very persistent. Because if not companies like us, then who will do that? I think there is no other way, no other choice. I always remember that I have two children. My son just turned 13. Well, my daughter is little, she's 4, so she maybe is not so concerned about that still. But my son, he's asking me questions all the time. And once, it was last year, exactly around springtime, They had some, they work a lot in school with sustainability, UN development goals. And he was doing a work on renewable energy. And then he came and told me, Mom, but you know, it looks awful. In 2030, when the world can go crazy, I will be just 20. He was really terrified. And then, of course, you know, what I try to do is like, I try to tell him, son, but you know what? It's not like it's all lost. Look, there are many examples. There are many companies. We try to do things at home, etc., etc. But this young generation, they have the level of sustainability, this environmental anxiety is very high. And I see it with him. I see it with his friends. So, you know, that gives me, let's say, a personal motivation to lean into the conversation and to really, you know, try and do our best on this journey. Yeah.
So the hope is with the next generation. Let's hope so, at least.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's a little bit. I think we have been saying for too many years that the hope is within the next generations, because I was young, the conversation started, and the hope kind of sits with us, who were the next generation at this time. Now we're looking at the next generation, at all the, you know, Greta Thunberg of our world. But I believe that the hope sits with acting today. The companies, the governments, the NGOs, the individuals, the society, everybody who lives today needs to act. And I actually believe that grown-ups can do more than children until a certain extent. So yes, I just hope that, well, I believe that if we do this generation, if we do our bit of job, then next generation have a little bit of a easier wave to continue, to build on that.
Thank you. Next question concerns energy independence. As you all know, we are living in very challenging times, and energy crisis is one of the challenges that we are facing, not only for businesses, but also for countries. And today's energy independence is not only the focus of states, but also for companies. And IKEA is a global company. How do you prepare for possible turbulence in energy market?
Yeah, you know, I think as a big company, we have all the business continuity, contingency plans forever. The last 3 years, I would say, this was the time when everything was put to test. And of course, you know, working around energy, we work on one hand with energy independence and on another hand with energy efficiency. Because you can say in retail, our assets are building. You know, the first thing you need to do is to make your building energy efficient. We have been working with that for some time already. I can say that one of the key directives there is the journey towards renewable heating and cooling. For example, since after 2009, no shopping center that we build, well, all shopping centers that we build have that source of heating and cooling. And then we are in Poland, since we have a lot of, well, many old stores, we're in the process of massive renovations. Katowice, actually, our store in Katowice is since 12 months undergoing a project, and I can tell you it's a massive investment, a very difficult technical project, and well, a lot of money to turn from, you know, traditional fuel fossils to renewable heating and sourcing. Then we are starting now a project in one of the stores in Warsaw, and we will continue with this roadmap until achieving, you know, 100%. And that is, of course, one part of it. Then another part is purely operations. You know, even before the current energy crisis, we have been in the last 5-7 years going 20-30% down. You know, we are a company where one of our values is cost consciousness. So saving energy is not only good for planet, it's actually good business because you pay less money, so you have less costs, which is always good. But then this year, where, you know, with the war in Ukraine and everything that was going on after COVID, with all the increases in pricing, we have started a movement globally, and Poland is not an exception, that was called Energy Kraftsamla. And this was planned from, you know, switching on the lights on time to using more efficiently the refrigerators, all the servers in our units, etc., etc. And we went down in 1 year 10% more on already quite, you know, lean base. So you can you can always do better. And I think that, with this, of course, we have some structural changes going on for years, like changing our lighting to LED lighting, LED lighting. And I can share, for example, when the energy crisis started, we were discussing, there was a lot of discussion in the society about, shopping centers, should they turn the lights? Well, with LED lighting, this is a fraction of the energy. It's not an impact, which is also a part of, education to the customer, sometimes to the government, to the authorities, because that is part of being greener and being cheaper and being more efficient and being more long-term. Because of course, LED lighting, from a maintenance perspective, is a different story compared to normal lighting. And then you can say a part of that, which is more long-term part, is the whole investment in renewable sources. IKEA in Poland has been investing a lot in renewable energy, and that is of course the fact that we are using greener energy. And today, from the wind farms that we own, we sustain all our operations, including warehouses. So those are the areas where we, let's say, work with that energy independence and energy efficiency, energy resilience.
So you told us a little bit about the investments and plans and what IKEA has done, but if we could elaborate on that a little bit more. I don't know if you know, but in 2021 there were over 2,000 companies with Nordic capital in Poland. Together, Nordic companies, they represent 8.2% of foreign capital in Poland, placing them on the 4th place as foreign investors. And Poland still ranks as number 1 among the locations of countries within Central and Eastern Europe. But there are, of course, challenges. I mean, one of the challenges is the energy situation and energy crisis, which we just discussed. It's labor costs, it's economic policy and conditions. How do you assess the current situation and prospects for doing business in Poland, also in the context of green transformation?
Well, Poland is a very important market for IKEA. We have been here for more than 60 years, and it's one of the unique markets where all our value chain is present, both retail and production and industry, shopping centers. So we have, the total pack. And strategically, also in the times when IKEA has decided that it will develop towards climate positive and towards renewable energy, Poland has become very quickly one of the first and key markets to invest. Since 2011, we have invested nearly 1 billion Polish zloty here in renewable energy. We have our own wind farms. Then since last year, we have also our sister company, Inca Investment, that owns 2 very big investments that will be in play in action, you can say, from 2024. And globally, IKEA has committed 6 billion euro investment into renewable energy. And again, big part of that is destined for Poland, since we have a lot of operations here. Then when it comes to how we perceive the environment, we could invest more if we would have a little bit more friendly legislation and more supportive regulations. A silly example, photovoltaic panels. We have buildings with roofs, which is a perfect place for photovoltaics. We have 11 stores. Currently, we have photovoltaics on 4 of them. And then we have 3 other in the pipeline. In the last one, it took 2 years to get to the installation. I mean, it's just crazy. From a regulation bureaucracy, how long you need to wait until getting things, into place, it takes a lot of time. And I'm not talking about buying, a huge wind farm. It's simple things. So of course the regulatory landscape should change, and then Poland needs a heavy investment in grid infrastructure, We have been talking about the 10H. Well, now some things have happened. There is still a lot of ambiguity about the law and how this will work. Then, the previous conversation was a lot about electromobility. So what will happen with infrastructure and electromobility? Now we have this legislation that all big public spaces need to have chargers, charging stations. Well, we have charging stations for customer use in all our premises. Is it enough? Of course it's not enough, but there is no infrastructure whatsoever, and there is no support to anyone to develop this infrastructure. And then since now I think from a technology perspective, there are so many things, going on. It is important that, here we take a stand as a society, as a government. What do we want to invest in? What kind of infrastructure we will develop? And then there will be a lot of investments flowing in to support that. But I think, what I hear also from other businesses is that it's a big investment that is also a strategic investment. If you decide to invest in, for example, charging or energy storage, you will be bound to those investments for decades. So you need to see a little bit of a roadmap ahead of you. But again, still on this we are very stubborn and developing towards it. I think a friendlier climate and a closer dialogue with business is what we are after. Well, and working with SPCC in that very closely, obviously.
Yes, we actually, and this is the last question to you because our cooperation is very close. It has been very close, and you are a dear member of SPCC. And a few weeks ago, we had a pleasure of joining IKEA's initiative, round table of employers, NGOs, and public authorities, focused on the employment of refugees. So, 2 meetings are already behind us, and what's next?
Yes, you can say this is why would we be talking about refugees and green economy? We have, it's a very sad realization that the whole climate change, one of the worst human consequences that is happening today and will continue to happen is the refugee moves, because more and more land becomes inhabitable. So people are forced to leave those places. And then, of course, on top of that, we have wars and conflicts and whatnot. And IKEA has several years ago globally decided to start a refugee support program, and where we firmly believe that, that there are a lot of charity organizations, partners like UNHCR with whom we are working, who give emergency support or help people to, recover. Then anyone who has come like that in a new country needs, of course, a more sustainable long-term support. That's why we have initiated a program that is called Skills for Employment, where we work with refugees to help them integrate in a labor market in a new country. And in Poland, we have started this program last year. We had a first edition in Targówek store, where we had 10 people joining from all over the globe. And these people are having a 6 months internship, getting a range of, well, first they're working, so they get a new social circle, they get used to, meeting new people, they learn language during their work time, they get help in how to talk about their professional skills, they get help in understanding local system, they get some psychological support, etc. And then we also have invested in training our leaders and managers and colleagues in understanding what it takes to be a refugee, what a refugee background really means. And then after this internship, people have a chance, if there are vacancies available, to apply for a job at IKEA, or they can choose something else. Our first edition was very successful. We have 6 people who continued working with us. And now in spring, we have started the second wave of this edition in 5 stores, where we will have, where we have already, I think, 46 people joining this program. And you can see from the numbers, this is not, this is an initiative that you need to, it's a lot of effort towards one person. So you need many businesses doing that. But this is a change that is long-lasting change. You really, and if you talk to these people, to these guys, well, I get goosebumps, because you do change life of a particular person and their family. Helping them, because if you talk to someone in like UNHCR, they will tell you the first step to dignity for a refugee is having an employment. And this is something where most people struggle in a new country. So we have said that in that program, doing the program and doing it ourselves is one thing, but then we are committed to actually spread the word, share the example, exchange the learnings. So thank you for hosting us. We had a great meeting in SPSCC a couple of months ago. We will have another event, I think end of May, and we will continue, learning ourselves and sharing with others, because the more businesses joins, the better it is. And for Poland, which has such a deep, profound demographic crisis, and needs so much workforce, especially younger workforce, integrating and does not have experience, a lot of experience before the inflow of Ukrainian refugees or people from Ukraine. It is a necessity to get that experience and to help integrate that workforce and to make it attractive and easier. Because Poland needs labor, hands, and brains, and hearts.
That's true. Thank you very much. I strongly believe that talking about these very important subjects like refugees, energy independence, the green transformation. I mean, meetings like this they actually help to move things forward. So I'm very happy that you could join us. And share your personal views, but also the views of IKEA on these topics. So any questions from the audience? So Marina, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.